Welcome back, mere mortalites, to another edition of the Mere Mortals in Motion. You do have one here, and it is 5:56 in the morning. And I thought I'd probably call that out because today I want to be talking about being in a time crunch, specifically to fitness. I'm not going to be cementing this specifically to fatherhood, being a parent, although, goddamn it, does it apply very goddamn well if it's in relation to that. But I can see the applicability to other mere mortalites out there if you're in a time crunch for whatever other reason. And fitting in fitness is a scarcity. So time is scarce in our life in terms of how readily available it is, whether you have ample time. Now, I'm going to give you a clear example here. We're all not living in the current life where he has situated himself in a position where he has oodles of time to be able to train and do it really, really well and be almost pro level of what he does, which is fantastic. But then the other reality, so a lot of the mere mortalites out there, including myself, is you're either a parent, you have work, you have life priorities, you have other things that are going on around you. And this is more just an open conversation around what does fitness look like in that sort of space for individuals in that phase. This isn't targeted to the individuals out there, mere mortalites, who have that ungodly amount of time where you're fully optimizing for performance, or you're a pro sports person. If you're listening to this, you're probably not going to get too much out of it. That's fine. But for those who are listening in who this kind of resonates a lot more with, you're probably going to understand where I'm coming from. And I call out the time of 5:56 in the morning. It is a Monday. I have been having a bit of problem in modern life I want to talk to you about, which is doing podcast recording. I run a variety of different things. I've talked about it in the podcast. I'm a dad. I'm other things. I won't identify as one thing in particular, but there's just a variety of things that go in my life. What has dropped off the face of my priorities has largely been podcasting. Why? It's a side hobby. It's something that I enjoy to do, but I won't prioritize it over being with my family. I won't prioritize it over some of my direct work that I do. I won't prioritize it over the fitness, my actual doing of fitness. But here's where I wanted to talk about. It was coming back home from the gym this morning. So usually on a Monday, I'll try to get up a little bit earlier, which is usually 3:10, 3:20 in the morning. I'll be able to get to the gym just before 4 a.m. And here's the kind of what prompted this particular conversation. Usually on a Monday at this current time, I would do partly training, so sort of a gym session, and then I'd go ahead and do a run. On Mondays at the moment, 5 kilometer run. I got to 35, 40 minutes of the particular workout, which was just some Olympic lifting and mostly chest work as well. And again, the mindset of, I've got to go do this 5 kilometer run. A couple of days ago, I was talking to Karen about this, talking about it on the Discord. Mentally felt fine around being able to go and run and do the things. But here's where the time crunch came. I just went, look, I've got a finite amount of time that I want to get a few things done. One in particular was actually recording this particular podcast because I just don't have too much more time throughout the week. I actually want to get it done, even though I've been deprioritizing a few different things. So there comes some time crunch. On one hand, I could get annoyed at myself around, I was supposed to do X amount of lifts and then go and do the 5 kilometer run. Still the morning. However, my attempt is, I could do part of my workout in the morning. I have a treadmill at home where I go for a run around my area. I could go do that in the afternoon. I could do that around lunchtime when my daughter's having a nap, something to that effect, right? And that's not too bad, so I can kind of make it work. However, there's still that mental time crunch, which personally for me, way back in the past, it's not something that I've been not so much used to, but I've just enjoyed more flexibility. There's less flexibility of my time now, probably something similar to you, me or more like at home. And so it has become a continuous battle with myself to think about, hey, I might go to the gym today and might not be able to do everything that I'm supposed to be doing. I might have to fast track something. I might have to cut it out. The danger, as some people probably well know, is that I try to put everything in the morning so that I have my own time. I'm uninterrupted. I can get this stuff done. I'm talking right now around the 5 kilometer run that I want to do a little bit later today. It's not a short thing. It's not a short thing because it isn't going to be the highest priority thing. And should it be? right? And this I want to also kind of explore, because fitness, and I'm not going to go with the trite things about how do you prioritize, do it in the morning for fitness when you're a parent or you're really busy. Sure, those things are out there. I'm probably going to talk more about the unconventional, something a little bit more interesting. One being, with everything that I'm talking about at the moment, both fitness, physical, and mentally, what it brings, you have to be selfish. You have to be selfish, and you have to put the health first in a lot of ways, to an extent, obviously, to a reasonable limit. And so that's why I found myself going, from a Peter, a T, and a few other people, the kind of reason around the, shorter sleep or shorter amount of hours is offset to some degree by the exercise that you do. Now, personal anecdote, if I do not train on a particular day and I sleep a little bit extra, I still feel terrible. Like, I'd rather wake up earlier and go get a training session in than not at all. Anecdotally, I feel way better for it. But when you're time crunched, when you have to, even doing the selfish thing of, look, I'm going to go and do 30 minutes, 35 minutes of what I can, both from, like, importantly, obviously, physical fitness. I don't want to become 40, 50, 60 years old and be frail, have frail bones. And, I'm talking more longevity here. I'm not optimizing for being the fastest or being the strongest anymore. It's a completely different change. Better that and be selfish to do that. And if you have to go cut out the other things, and again, prioritize within fitness, try to fit it in wherever it comes, but it has to be flexible, right? When you're that time crunched, when you're that pushed to do other things that you either have to do or you get to do, which, look, let's be real, I get to do a lot of different things, and I choose to put them as priority over top of some other things. Case in point, I don't have to do this podcast, right? But it's nice to do. I wanted to do it. I wanted to have this conversation. I wanted to have my soliloquy talking about time crunch. And so here we are. But as much as there's a physical part of it as well, there's also a mental bit of it as well, which I guess is why I still be having the little magic minds here. These particular bad boys from Mental Performance Shot type of deal. Sharp mind, lower stress. Now, these guys have put out a link for us, mereimmortals.com/MMP, if you want a discount from them in February. But mentally, and that's the big part. So physically, I find myself going, look, to train, do all the things that I need to is super important. From a mental perspective, these things can only do so much. They do help in terms of being sharper, but training for me allows me to be more crystal clear than I would be otherwise. I feel frustrated. I can get really easily sort of like prickled by things that happen in life that I'm training. So there's a lot of importance to actually doing it, right? So being selfish is a good thing. Be a little bit selfish to try and find it in, but don't be inflexible to the realities of life, when, be it parenthood, be it work, be it other priorities, be it other commitments that you have to do. It's fucking life. That's the reality. Again, there's 1 or 2% of people out there that get to just do it whenever they want, and it's super flexible, and hooray. I'm really glad for you. If you're a parent out there that's managed to do something like that, let me know. And living in the normal everyday life, that's probably pretty interesting for others of how you manage. So that's probably one aspect. The second aspect that I'd probably call out from a, what do you do when you've got this sort of time crunch commitment beyond just being selfish? Incorporating or making it super goddamn easy to go and do your training. So case in point, I talked a little bit about it earlier. I have a treadmill that's in the other room. It's over there when I want to go do a run. Why? I could go for runs outdoors, but there's even a little bit of an impetus for me to not even want to go do that. One, again, I've talked about it plenty on the podcast. I'm not really a runner, right? And if you assimilate with this, you'll get it. There might be a modality that you just don't enjoy doing that much, but it's all right for you, or you want to get better at it. For me, I want to get better at it. I think it's all right for me in terms of a VO2 max, helping out my heart rate being a little bit lower, and a general resting heart rate, all that sort of good stuff. But still, to put on the shoes and just simply go down my driveway and go for a bit of a run, that there's some like pause for me that I go, I've got to go away from the house. I'll have to come back. What if by the time I come back, or I've got to rush back for some reason, something's happened, my daughter's waking up, I've got to take the dog for a walk. List a million things. So making it easy. I got a treadmill, something nice and cheap, nice and easy, and I can when I've got the time, just jump on and go and do my runs, right? It's nice and easy. I can throw the clothes over to the side of the laundry straight after, so it's not, stinking out the house and everything like that. Little things like that, making it easy so that you can get your training in as well. I used to train at a great gym, really, really enjoyed the gym, but it was about half an hour from where I currently live. I would also have to not just go there, especially like say on weekends, but you'd have to go at a particular time for when they were open. So there was a little bit of inflexibility there. Instead, I changed over to one of those more open Globo gyms, 24/7. Not as great from an atmosphere perspective, but what I've lost in that, I've gained in the ability that it's 10 minutes down the road. I can get in at whatever time, which makes it more flexible to the things that I need to also prioritize in my life. They've got enough things I can get plenty of my workout in, and it's motivating. Like it's motivating enough to get in there. Not all the time. I'm going to be realistic. Again, I'm not optimizing for the best gym environment or the pinnacle of bench press. There was once upon a time where I was benching 2 times my body weight, and sometimes I dream like, oh, gotta do some more. And I've toyed around with the idea of increasing the annual goals to do something like that. I don't think that's the reality anymore. And that sort of comes to my third point as well, to all me immortalites out there. When it comes to a time crunch, be realistic about what you are aiming for. You can still target things that either you haven't done before, so you get the newbie gains. For instance, for me, not a big runner, and so I'm going to be doing a half marathon in 12 weeks, whatever it is at the moment, end of May. And because I'm a newbie, I'm doing 20 to 30 kilometer per week runs. I'm finding lots of improvement really quickly, which is motivating. I'm also not having to do a ton of running. I'm also not aiming to win the half marathon or do anything like that, but it's just to complete it in a good time. To aim for things like that, where I can, 3 hours per week is the amount of effort that I'm putting in terms of running, and the outcome that I'm getting from it, or the results of return, is great. It's fantastic. Good return on investment from a definitely physical perspective, but even more the mental, the just the movement, the fitness, everything else. If I right now said, you know what, I'm going to invest the same 3, 4, 5 hours to increase my bench press, and that included all the mobility that it needs, or maybe the work from like a masseuse or something to unlock my shoulders and make it better, to the technique work to insert here, whatever. First of all, I know myself. I'm not going to be world champion, beating any records, anything like that. There is some interest in being that little bit stronger, but the amount that I have to put in, and again, thinking about it from an 80-20 perspective, and the inverse of that, I don't want to put in 80, 90% more effort, maybe it's a little bit less, to get 10%, 5% better. It's just that return at this point in time, unless, again, I clarify, unless you're a mere mortalite who is optimizing for being the best runner, being the best strength athlete, doing, optimal in that particular domain, again, throw this all out. But if you're generally in a time crunch, you're probably not doing that. You're either trying to multitask a variety of things in your life, or you just want to be doing it for a physical, mental benefit that also helps you out from a longevity perspective. And I guess that's the key thing I wanted to kind of complete on is, when you're in a time crunch, my recommendation that leads that I found is do things that allow longevity. So physical perspective, whatever you're doing from a fitness perspective, gym, running, swimming, skiing, BMX riding, I don't know, whatever else you want to add into that. Physically, you want to be doing things which are improving your strength, your balance, your flexibility, your coordination, all of these things that I'm taking for granted now, even though I really cherish them. I'm taking granted from now. We're 70, 80, 90 years old, God blessing. It's going to be so key to have when it's just as simple as going up a hill, or you want to go walk a small gentle hill or a mountain or something like that. And when you're at that older age, it becomes very evident that people who put in the effort and have those qualities or have that bone strength, and those who don't and might fall, break a hip, and very shortly after die. There's stats out there in terms of certain age, above 60 or 70, something like that. And if you fall and you break your hips, there's like 50% chance you're going to die within a year, which is insane. You also have muscle sarcopenia when you're after 70, 74 years old as well. So you want to kind of like, in my mind, maximize as much as possible relatively within the comparison of your life before that sort of stage happens, which is going to happen to absolutely everyone. So, you know, longevity on the physical side, try and do all of that now that makes sense without obviously breaking the bank on everything else that you're doing in life. And then mentally, treat, at least for me, this is my suggestion when it comes to time crunch. Do the things as much as the time domain allows so that you're also mentally refreshed to tackle whatever it is that you're doing. Again, I could tell you right now that I didn't have to go train this morning. I could have just woken up nice and early and gone straight into the podcast and do all these various things. People like Hormozis and others will say, just get straight into the work and just like power through it. And I get that in the very acute sense. Again, if you had to get something done, let's just say you're supporting your wife giving birth, you probably don't need to go for a training session in the morning, right? You probably want to be there with her. Again, some people out there might question that. That's where I lean. Be there or the acute places where it's needed. However, in the general flexibility of life or the general trend of life, for me, I'd say looking at it from a marathon, long view, you probably want to fit in those little bite-sized pieces of fitness wherever you can, or if you can do more of a full training session, wonderful. And do them so that you have the clarity of mind to be present, to not be grumpy, to be there for everything else comes to life. And that ties back to the beginning, being selfish. I think being selfish from a health perspective, from a fitness perspective, is a good thing. To be there present and physically able, as well as mentally able, not just now, but 20, 40, 60 years in the future. That's fucking amazing. Like, that's impressive, and it's very hard. I see fairly fit people who are older than me, for sure. There's definitely fit people in me that are older as well. But when I start to look towards like the really old individuals who are, grandparents, maybe great grandparents, it would be a fascinating thing to me that at that stage, I can say, looking back at life, man, I was really time crunched. I did all these various things. I really enjoyed it. But what I'm really, really proud of is I maintained my fitness, both in the physical sense, but also in the mental sharpness to be able to do a heavy deadlift, whatever that may mean for you, to go run a 5 kilometer run and doing it and performing for yourself, not for the competition, not the time, but to actually say, yes, I can challenge myself willingly, consciously, and do these things. And again, that translates to so much of life. So whether you're on a time crunch, immortalize, whether you just find that it's a difficult thing, look to be selfish, look to be flexible, look to make it easy for yourself, man. Make it easy for yourself. Parents out there, you know this, whether you're going through a sleep regression, which we're going through right now, whether, you've got a new bub, whether they're starting school, you're going to have to be flexible, right? Or, if you're that committed, fuck it, fuck the kid, go do your thing and leave the kid on the side. I don't recommend that. I think that's a shit thing to do, which is why I recommend make it easy, be super flexible, be there for your kids. God damn it, be a good parent. Immortalites, I'm going to leave it there. That's my little rant on being on time crunch, which I am, which is literally coming from the heart. I am in a time crunch. I'm doing this now, finishing it up 6:15 in the morning on a Monday. I can hear my daughter now scrambling around outside, upstairs with my partner. So I'll be going upstairs to cook him some breakfast and get on with the day. Wherever you are in the world, near Immortalites, I hope you're well. And if you're in a time crunch, be present, get it done quick. Good. Immortalites, one out.